Hello everyone, I know you watched this video to accompany you to sleep. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to tell me where you are from and what time you watched this video. Let's jump straight into the story. Story 1. On 1993, in Okinawa, Japan, a daughter named Anna Marie Windu was born to a couple from the Philippines. As time passed, the girl grew into a beautiful teenager and attended high school located on a United States military base in Japan. Anna studied there because her father was a military worker. After graduating from high school, Anna returned to her parents' homeland and continued her studies at the University of the Philippines. There, Anna successfully completed her education and graduated on time. During her time in the Philippines, the girl made many friends and had a supportive social environment that helped her continue to grow. Her friends knew Anna as a charming, intelligent, and humble person. Additionally, Anna was also known for her beauty and inner kindness, which made her shine even more. Anna is a kind-hearted young woman, attentive, and forms friendships very sincerely. One of her good friends, named Cassie Conroy, stated that Anna is a person filled with sincerity, very loving, and feels like family when befriending her. Additionally, Cassie very understanding when Anna began to fall in love with a man named Ali Nasser Abdullah Ben Ali, a young American soldier who was handsome and charming. Anna happened to meet Ali while visiting her father, who was working in Japan. It turned out that the man was a junior of her father, both working at the military base there. At the time, Ali, who was 22 years old, managed to impress Anna with his captivating charm. He was born in 1992 in Staten Island to parents of Palestinian descent. Ali's parents moved around frequently and eventually chose to settle in Virginia. Since childhood, Ali dreamed of becoming an artist and comedian who could entertain many people. Ali is known to have an extroverted personality and enjoys being around people. At the age of 14, Ali loved being the center of attention and felt happy when he received validation from those around him. He was also skilled at singing and was part of a band as a vocalist. However, not long after, Ali fell into the military world due to his family's wishes. After following his parents' desires and working in the military, Ali felt fortunate because it was there that he met Anna. Then, in 2016, the two got to know each other and began a romantic relationship filled with happiness. Ali had fallen in love with Anna and praised her for her beauty and sincerity. In fact, Ali once said that Anna was the only woman who made him passionate about life. Moreover, Anna was able to inspire Ali to pursue his long-delayed passion for singing. The two lovers seemed very compatible and appeared very harmonious in their relationship. Anna and Ali often spent time dating and vacationing together when the man was not on duty. However, Cassie, Anna's best friend, sensed that something was off about Ali. She believed that the man did not truly love her friend sincerely, but was rather obsessed with Anna. According to Cassie's observations, Ali was a jealous, very possessive, and overprotective person towards her friend. She realized this when the couple was in a long-distance relationship, as Anna was living in the Philippines while Ali was working in Japan. During the long-distance relationship, the young soldier always wanted to know where Anna went and who she spent her days with. Additionally, Ali was easily angered, expected quick responses to his messages, and often suspected Anna, even though the woman had no intention of cheating and was very faithful to Ali. In the Philippines, both Anna and Cassie had a very wide circle of friends, and they often socialized with many men. Despite this, Cassie was very confident that her friend would always uphold her commitment to Ali. And according to Cassie, she and her friend had every right to behave like typical young people who should enjoy their freedom in the Philippines. One time, Ali traveled to the Philippines to visit Anna and wanted to spend time with her. During that moment, Cassie called her friend and wanted to invite her to hang out, but it was not Anna who answered the call. A man's voice greeted her and told Cassie not to invite Anna anywhere, forbade his girlfriend from going out, and insisted that she must always be with him. On January 27, 2017, Ali and Anna officially got married, and the man took his wife to Virginia, their new home. Anna got a job as a quality management analyst at Alpha Omega Integration LLC, while Ali worked as a telecommunications network engineer since he had been discharged from the military for certain reasons. Not long after, his wife became pregnant with their long-awaited child. 9 months passed, and Anna gave birth to a beautiful baby girl named Amara Abulabin. Ali was very happy because he had now become a husband and a father. The man also still wanted to realize his childhood dream and was determined to become a celebrity in America. While living in Virginia, Ali chose to write songs, create music, and sing his own songs to fill his free time. In addition, he also intended to become an influencer and decided to create comedy content on his social media account named @GeneKid. Ali opted for platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube to upload his comedic videos on his YouTube channel. He described himself as a movie lover who enjoyed creating parodies of his favorite film characters. Ali was particularly fond of the character of a famous rapper and the fictional protagonist named Tony Montana from the film Scarface, released in 1983. He dressed up and acted like Tony Montana to attract his audience's attention. Surprisingly, many people liked and acknowledged Ali's talent for imitating that fictional character. His posts managed to draw a lot of attention, and his social media accounts began to be flooded with fans. In addition to parodying the famous rapper and the character Tony Montana, Ali also showcased his skill in imitating characters from video games on platforms like Nintendo, PS4, PS5, and others. He was very skilled at acting like one of the characters from the video game The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. Due to his incredibly creative video posts, Ali reached the peak of his success as a social media influencer in 2019, with one of his videos going viral, and his followers rapidly increased. Had 263,000 followers on Instagram, between 950,000 and 1 million fans on TikTok, and 171,000 subscribers on YouTube. Meanwhile, Anna, his wife, had also appeared in several of Ali's videos, which is where fans began to realize that the influencer was already married. They left many positive comments and support for the longevity of Ali and Anna's relationship. After that, his wife started to gain recognition, and her social media followers also began to rise. Then, decided to produce her own content on her Instagram account @AnimusWindu, often showcasing her time with her husband and daughter. On 2020, Anna invited her husband and child to move to San Diego, California, claiming that she and Anna had many old friends there. However, the man actually wanted to pursue his ambition of becoming an artist. Therefore, he chose to move to California so he could visit the largest entertainment area in the world, Hollywood in Los Angeles. In their new city, Ali and Anna occupied a towering apartment building known for its luxury. The apartment complex was called the Spire San Diego and was located on Island Avenue East Village. Both Ali and Anna really enjoyed their new life in the apartment because they could meet old friends from the American military base. Additionally, they could also build broader relationships while expanding their business and collaborating with old friends. Anna spent her days working out at the gym, enjoying spa treatments, and going out at night with her friends. Meanwhile, Ali's followers on social media continued to grow as he uploaded more content. Before long, the man's dreams began to come true as he received numerous collaboration offers from other creators in Los Angeles. After various struggles, the couple finally lived a very glamorous life and often became busy with their own affairs. However, they still managed to share their moments together on their respective social media accounts. Ali regularly posted photos and videos of his comedy skits and romantic moments with Anna. Yet, their romance on social media did not align with the reality of their lives. Anna and Ali's relationship had begun to show cracks because they often fought. The possessive husband frequently lost his temper and did not hesitate to use violence against Anna. In truth, Anna had often experienced domestic violence, but this fact was deliberately hidden to maintain a good image of herself and her husband in front of their fans. Anna and Ali's marriage turned very toxic after they moved to San Diego. The husband often displayed his jealousy as Anna began socializing more with her new friends in the city. Ali also always wanted to control his wife's social life, which made Anna feel disgusted with him. In front of Anna's friends, Ali always boasted about his wife's beauty and her success in the influencer world. But behind it all, Anna felt very pressured because her husband had become arrogant, angry, selfish, and prone to violence. As time went on, Anna and Ali's friends in San Diego began to doubt the couple's relationship. They also started to notice the changes in the influencer, who had become increasingly arrogant. Ali always carried a firearm wherever he went and often acted aggressively, threatening his friends to stay away from Anna. On the other hand, Anna's best friend, Cassie I, visited Anna to catch up after a long time apart. The woman decided to take an extended vacation in Los Angeles while occasionally going to Anna's apartment in San Diego. One night, Anna invited her husband and her friend to hang out together and enjoy dinner at a place there. They also met many other friends who knew Anna and Ollie. During a conversation, the husband frequently interrupted Anna and her friends. Ollie also seemed very eager to dominate the discussion and always exaggerated his success as an influencer. Meanwhile, Cassie was very worried about Anna's condition, who lived with the man every day. However, she tried to think positively and always supported whatever decision her friend made. It turned out that Cassie was not the only one who sensed something strange about Ollie. The man's cousin, Louis Marinari, also felt the same way. Louis expressed that his cousin had changed drastically since becoming well known on social media. He stated that Ollie was experiencing star syndrome, always wanting a high-class life and liking to party excessively. Furthermore, Louis was already aware of Ollie's possessiveness and his frequent mistreatment of Anna, but he felt helpless and unable to help his suffering sister-in-law. According to Louis, even though Ollie seemed very funny on social media, he was actually a very rude and arrogant man. The influencer's behavior became increasingly chaotic when he uploaded a video showing himself smoking a banned substance while drinking alcohol. In the video, Ollie also admitted that he had recently become a drug user and was thoroughly enjoying the illegal substance. After making that post, the influencer received negative comments from fans who were disappointed that Ollie had decided to use illegal drugs. The next day, the influencer made a clarification video and apologized while explaining to his fans not to imitate his actions. Ollie posted again on his social media account. Usually, the man only showcased comedy videos or other random content, but this time it was quite different and very shocking. He suddenly uploaded a confessional video where he began to rant and talk about his wife. Stated that he loved and cared for his wife very much, but he did not like the friendships Anna had with other men out there. Not only that, Ollie also revealed that Anna often brought male friends to the apartment and cheated on him behind his back. He also mentioned that his mental state was starting to become unstable because of Anna's behavior. Fans responded to the confessional video by encouraging Ollie. Some fans also pointed out the influencer's weight loss and how much thinner he had become. In fact, one fan commented that they were worried about Ollie's condition due to his excessive drinking and how he looked so thin and unhealthy. Meanwhile, several people also said that Ollie had a chaotic mindset and a concerning mental state. Netizens advised Ollie to take care of himself by trying to relax and staying strong in facing his problems with Anna. One night, Ollie invited his cousin Louis to visit a bar not far from his apartment. Upon arriving there, the man pulled out a bag of illegal powder from his pants and poured it on the table. Louis was taken aback and said, "Don't be crazy, bro. We could get kicked out of here." Ollie replied, "Just relax. No one can stop me. I can do whatever I want." Hearing this, Louis felt ashamed of himself and could hardly believe that his cousin had truly lost his sanity. After leaving the bar, returned to his apartment to see Anna and their daughter. He wanted to make sure that his small family was safe and comfortable at home. When he arrived at the apartment, Ollie heard his wife's phone ringing, and he answered the call. On the other end, he heard a greeting from a strange man, which immediately made him angry. Ollie yelled at the man who called his wife and forbade him from contacting Anna. Moments later, the furious man hit his wife and accused Anna of secretly trying to turn away from him. At this moment, Ollie also pushed his wife's body in front of their daughter, causing Anna to fall to the floor. Such incidents had frequently occurred between the couple from July to September 2021. Because of these actions, Anna contacted emergency services 911 and reported her husband's behavior. She also recounted all of Ollie's abusive actions. The woman stated that her husband had pointed a gun at her face. Upon receiving this report, the police rushed to the apartment and successfully arrested Ollie without resistance. The news about the influencer being detained by the police for domestic violence quickly went viral on social media. During this moment, netizens also showcased videos of Ollie that had previously been deleted. In the video, the influencer recorded himself ranting and calling his wife very derogatory names. Ollie was seen repeatedly using harsh words and claiming that Anna was a woman who didn't know how to be grateful. One night, Ollie invited Louis, his cousin, to visit a bar not far from his apartment. Upon arriving there, the man pulled out a bag of illegal powder from his pants and poured it on the table. It was no surprise that Louis was very shocked and said, "Don't be crazy, bro. We could get kicked out of here." However, Ollie replied, "Just relax. No one can stop me. I can do whatever I want." Hearing this, Louis felt ashamed of himself and could hardly believe that his cousin had truly lost his sanity. After leaving the bar, returned to his apartment to see Anna and their daughter. He wanted to ensure that his small family was safe and comfortable at home. When he arrived at the apartment, Ollie heard his wife's phone ringing, and he answered the call. On the other end, he heard a greeting from a strange man, which immediately made him angry. Yelled at the man who called his wife and forbade him from contacting Anna. Moments later, the furious man hit his wife and accused Anna of secretly trying to turn away from him. At this moment, Ollie also pushed his wife's body in front of their daughter, causing Anna to fall to the floor. Such incidents had frequently occurred between the couple from July to September 2021. Because of these actions, Anna contacted emergency services 911 and reported her husband's behavior. Anna also recounted all of Ollie's abusive actions. Furthermore, the woman stated that her husband had pointed a weapon at her face. Upon receiving this report, the police rushed to the apartment and successfully arrested Ollie without resistance. The news about the influencer being arrested by the police for domestic violence went viral on social media. At this moment, netizens also showed videos that Ollie had previously deleted. In the videos, the influencer recorded himself ranting and insulting his wife with very derogatory terms. Ollie could be seen repeatedly throwing out these harsh words and claiming that Anna was a woman who didn't know how to be grateful. Meanwhile, at the police station, Ollie was released because he was not proven guilty due to a lack of evidence provided by Anna. Then, on October 18, 2021, Anna kicked Ollie out of the apartment and told him to stay away from her. In addition, she filed for divorce and sent a request to the police to detain Ollie. The man then agreed to leave the apartment with his belongings and stay at a nearby hotel temporarily. Even so, Ollie did not really want to let his wife go just like that. Without Anna's knowledge, he had made a spare key to the door of their apartment while living separately from her. Ollie continued to post about his life on social media. He shared a post showing himself driving while drinking a bottle of red wine. The man even did a live stream on Instagram and asked, "Is there any sexy woman out there who can do dirty talk with me?" Ollie also expressed that he was currently having problems with his wife and feeling very lonely. In addition, the influencer tried to contact Anna and her friends to find out where she was. Unfortunately, Ollie never received a response from anyone, and Anna's friends advised him to stay away. He then met with Lewis to ask for advice regarding his problems. His cousin suggested that Ollie should move on by finding another girlfriend. However, Ollie insisted that he only needed Anna, not another woman. 3 days later, on October 21, 2018, Ollie sneaked into Anna's apartment room. There, he rummaged through her belongings and installed a spying application on their daughter's iPad. After carrying out his actions, he returned to the hotel and prepared to listen to whatever Anna was discussing through her phone connected to their daughter's iPad. Moments later, Ollie heard giggles and whispered conversations between Anna and her male friend. It turned out that the person was Rayburn Cardenas Barron, a 29-year-old native of San Diego. This man was known as a family man with a pleasant personality and full of care. That day, Anna had asked her male friend to help her clean the apartment room. Anna felt that she needed assistance with packing some heavy items, so she required Rayburn's help at the location. Continued to listen intently to the conversation between Anna and Rayburn through the app on his phone. As time went on, he became more anxious and curious about what was really happening in his wife's apartment. At 3 p.m., Ollie drove his car to the apartment. Upon arriving, he immediately took the elevator and pressed the button for the 35th floor. Throughout the ride to the floor where Anna's apartment was located, cursed, lamented his situation, and prayed to God that his wife was not doing anything inappropriate with another man. After arriving in front of the apartment door, Ollie opened it with his spare key. From his vantage point, he saw his wife kissing while spreading her legs on the table, while Rayburn was seated on the sofa. Without a second thought, Ollie fired 3 shots at Rayburn. The unfortunate man was struck in the back of the head, neck, and cheek. Seeing this, Anna screamed loudly in fear at the scene before her eyes. After finding Rayburn lying helpless on the floor, Ollie aimed his gun at Anna's forehead and shot her. Ollie believed that his wife and her lover had lost their lives. He then ran out of the apartment while still holding his weapon. He made his way to the parking lot, got into his car, and sped away from the apartment block. At this moment, Ollie called his mother in Virginia and confessed that he had killed his wife and a stranger. After that, he drove to Amara's school to pick up their daughter and take her home with him. Once in the car, the man said to his daughter Amara, "Daddy has hurt Mommy." After that, Ollie pressed the 911 button on his phone and reported his findings. His wife and a stranger covered in red stains in the apartment. Police quickly tracked Ollie's whereabouts and arrested him on the highway while he was driving. Meanwhile, an ambulance arrived at Anna's apartment to evacuate the woman and her friend Rayburn. It turned out that Rayburn was still alive, despite being seriously injured. He was taken to the nearest hospital. However, unfortunately, his life could not be saved. Anna had already succumbed when first found by the police officers. On the other hand, Cassie I, who had tried to contact Anna but received no response, felt very worried about her friend's condition. She immediately went to the apartment to check on her. Upon arriving, Cassie I started to cry when she found out that Anna was gone. She was devastated because just 4 days earlier, she and Anna had made plans to celebrate their birthdays together. Authorities suspect Ollie as the perpetrator responsible for the deaths of Anna and Rayburn. The man was taken to the San Diego City Detention Center while awaiting trial. Faces a life sentence with a minimum of 25 years in prison, and he could even receive the death penalty if found guilty and does not confess to his actions. In detention, Ollie was seen crying as the police read him the charges regarding the influencer who had taken his wife's life. This news began to surface in various media, and one journalist later visited Ollie to conduct an exclusive interview from behind bars. In the interview, Ollie claimed to love Anna very much and expressed regret for losing her forever. When asked about the reasons for his wife's departure, he responded angrily, "Don't ask me about that." At the sentencing hearing in January 2022, the judge found Ollie guilty of 2 counts of homicide based on all the evidence presented. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and his sentence could be upgraded to the death penalty at any time. Story 2. In 1991, in Islamabad, Pakistan, a son named Zahir Jaffer was born to Zakir Jaffer and Azmatha Damji. The boy became the favorite child of his parents and was spoiled from a young age. Zahir has one younger brother, but because Zahir was born as the first son, his parents prioritized him. As time went on, the boy grew into a handsome, strong, and intelligent young man. Because of this, his father loved Zahir very much and regarded him as the golden child in the family. Zakir, the father, is a successful businessman who owns a large construction company. Not only that, but he also holds various military construction contracts, which are very profitable. Zakir and his family live in a very large and magnificent house, surrounded by a strong and tall modern wooden fence. In this residence, the family has several staff members, including housekeepers, a personal chef, a gardener, a driver, and security guards. Because they are very wealthy, Zakir and Azmatha Damji often host parties for the upper class. Typically, they invite people at their level and those with business ties. During the work week, Zakir spends most of his time on business trips and meeting with clients. Meanwhile, their 2 sons are also busy with their own affairs. On weekends, Zakir and his wife hold extravagant dinner parties. Every room in their house is decorated with large, beautiful flowers. The kitchen in the residence is also very busy, as the chefs prepare elaborate seasonal dishes. Afterward, the waitstaff will promptly serve a variety of foods to the guests. The invited guests consist of business associates, colleagues from the crazy rich family, and esteemed officials. All of Zakir's acquaintances invited to the party are from the upper class or bourgeoisie. Usually, the guests bring their children along, and they introduce their kids to one another. At this moment, all the children of the guests have grown up and have various experiences. Most of them have studied abroad and attended prestigious universities. Additionally, these children often travel to different countries for vacations or to assist in running their parents. In fact, some of them are sole heirs with considerable wealth and choose to become donors to charitable organizations. Some of them also have sports hobbies and have participated in tournaments in Western countries. There are also those who are connected with top celebrities. When the party takes place at Zakir's house, the parents discuss business matters and their children's achievements in every conversation. Each parent does not want to be outdone by the others. In fact, they also compete to matchmake their children. The host is very enthusiastic when the guests start talking about matchmaking. That night, Zakir spoke more often with a diplomat and former ambassador of Pakistan to Kazakhstan and South Korea. The former diplomat was named Kakit Mukaddam, and he was one of the most respected individuals at the party. At that moment, Kakit attended the party with his daughter, Noor Mukaddam. The girl was born on October 23, 1994, and she was the second of 3 siblings. At that time, Noor was 27 years old and still unmarried. She appeared very graceful and humble. Khakat and Noor were one of the father-daughter pairs who drew the most attention at the party. As a prominent family in Pakistan, they often dressed simply and did not like to show off their wealth. For a long time, Khakat and his family had spent time abroad. In fact, the man had taken his wife and children to Ireland, South Korea, and other countries. Therefore, Noor grew up in various places with different cultures. Seeing this, Zakir was very impressed with the diplomat and his beautiful daughter. He then intended to match Zahir, his first son, with Noor Muqaddam. At that moment, the middle-aged man introduced his son to Khakat. He said that Zahir was an accomplished psychologist who was about to start his career in mental health services. Zahir also conveyed that his son was very sincere in providing care to his patients. The man stated that Zahir was also a counselor at a mental health organization. His son had also practiced counseling for children and adolescents in prestigious schools in Pakistan. Besides being busy with his work as the head of business strategy development for his father, Zahir also took time to work at his father's company, where he was appointed as the head of business strategy development. Zahir was indeed regarded as a versatile and reliable figure. Previously, the young man grew up in the United States and studied psychology and business development strategies. Zahir was also fluent in English and had a strong American accent. In addition, he was proficient in Urdu as his ancestral language. Hearing this, Khakat, the diplomat, became impressed with Zahir. He then introduced his daughter as someone with an artistic soul who loved freedom. Noor Muqaddam was also known as a gentle person, an animal lover, an art enthusiast, and someone who frequently participated in social activities. In terms of education, Noor Muqaddam completed her studies in education because she wanted to become a professional teacher. She also studied at one of the prestigious universities in South Korea. Noor loved learning and had a great curiosity about various things. She was always excited to learn new things and enjoyed sharing stories about her experiences. When she spoke, Noor Muqaddam had a very strong Irish accent. Khakat, the diplomat, also explained that after returning to Pakistan, his daughter chose to become a human rights activist and participated in demonstrations. Noor was very vocal in advocating for the rights of women and children. She expressed her aspirations through written works such as murals and gravity of art. After learning about Noor, Zakir felt that the diplomat's daughter would be a great match for his beloved son. During the dinner party, the host always said positive things about Zahir, even though there was a dark side to the young man that was never discussed in public. In fact, when he was a teenager, Zahir was diagnosed with schizophrenia, which required him to undergo therapy. Over time, his condition gradually improved, although his illness relapsed several times during his struggle with the disorder. Zahir had once attacked his own mother, and while on vacation in the UK, he had to be deported after it was proven that he had attacked his mother with a sharp weapon. Additionally, Zahir had also been involved in verbal sexual harassment. The young man seemed to have a dual personality, as he was known as a polite young man, but on the other hand, he liked to send lewd text messages to girls. Despite this, the negative facts about Zahir were always kept hidden because they were considered a family shame and could damage his father's reputation. Zahir was very worried and confused when he learned about his son's illness. Therefore, he brought his son back to Pakistan to start a new life. Zakir also took precautions by inviting a psychiatrist to regularly check Zahir's condition. The psychiatrist revealed that the young man's condition had improved, but his emotions were unstable due to the influence of drug use. Nevertheless, Zakir, the father, wanted nothing but the best for his son. The middle-aged man also wanted his beloved son to be known as an exceptional person, which is why Zakir always tried his best to cover up his son's weaknesses and would only share positive things about Zahir. Shortly after the party ended, Zahir approached Noor Muqaddam and started a casual conversation with her. He gave her many compliments and asked for her phone number to get to know her better. Surprisingly, Noor Muqaddam was Zahir's childhood friend. They had met and been schoolmates in elementary school, but they had almost forgotten each other due to the long time apart. As time passed, Zahir and Noor grew closer as they often communicated by phone. They even arranged to meet for dinner and attended several events together. Eventually, in 2018, Zahir and Noor decided to start dating and began to display their affection in public. People said that the love story of the two lovebirds resembled a romantic tale from a novel. The man was also considered very lucky to have Noor by his side. In fact, many people admired the diplomat's daughter because she appeared quiet and shy, but could also be a fun person on the other side. Although she came from a wealthy family, was known to the public as a simple woman who did not prioritize branded items. She also seemed charismatic and was easy to befriend people of different social statuses. Noor had many friends from various backgrounds and was enthusiastic about interacting with them. Additionally, she enjoyed helping others and often visited orphanages. After being in a relationship for 3 years, Noor began to feel that Zahir was undergoing a change in behavior. He became very aggressive and often imposed his will on her. At first, Noor thought she could endure the toxic relationship. However, in reality, she could no longer cope. Zahir repeatedly expressed his love for Noor and wanted to propose to her. He also always apologized after doing bad things to his girlfriend. Hearing this, Noor became hesitant and rejected Zahir's proposal. She also planned to distance herself from him. Although she was already 27 years old, Noor Muqaddam was not reckless in choosing a husband. On the other hand, Zahir was 30 years old, came from a respected family, had abundant wealth, and was admired by many. Unfortunately, the man began to show signs of being unwell, making his partner feel uncomfortable. Noor then said that she wanted to end their relationship and did not want to be tied to him anymore. Upon hearing this decision, Zahir appeared very, very disappointed. After the rejection, he often became sullen and his emotions were frequently uncontrollable. He then isolated himself in his room and always ordered the staff in his house to attend to him. Time passed and 6 months went by without either Zahir or Noor communicating with each other, causing their relationship to become increasingly distant. On July 18, 2021, Noor and her family were busy preparing for the holiday celebration. She helped her mother make traditional Eid al-Fitr dishes to share with their extended family. Shortly afterward, at night, Noor answered the ringing landline phone, and she heard Zahir's voice greeting her. He said that he had tried to contact Noor's mobile phone several times, but had always received no answer. They then chatted on the phone for a while. At that moment, Zahir expressed that he would be traveling to America by plane. He also revealed his feelings of turmoil because Noor had rejected him. Because of this, he wanted to calm himself in New York and celebrate Eid al-Fitr with his brother who was there. Zahir mentioned that his flight was scheduled for 3:50 a.m., and he wanted to meet Noor in the remaining time. Noor wished him a happy holiday and prayed for his safe journey. Zahir reiterated his desire to meet and hoped Noor would come to his house. Additionally, he asked if she would be willing to take him to the airport as a farewell gesture. Noor replied that she could not go to Zahir's place because she was busy with matters at her home. However, after a moment of pleading, Noor agreed to Zahir's request and consented to come to his residence. She then said goodbye to her parents, telling them that she was going to visit a friend. Noor also promised that she would be home soon because her visit would be brief. She deliberately lied to her father and mother because if she told them the truth, they would certainly not give her permission. Noor left her house around 9:05 p.m. and took a taxi. 40 minutes later, she arrived at the town square. At this moment, Noor called Zahir and asked, "Are you still at home?" "I've arrived at the town square." "Wait a moment." On the other end, the man said that he was still busy packing because there were many things to bring. Zahir asked Noor to be careful during her journey. On the other hand, Noor began to think that it was a bit strange for her to go to her ex-boyfriend's house. However, considering that she had been close to Zahir's family and that the man's home was always bustling with his staff, she felt safe being there. Besides, she would only need to make small talk with Zahir's parents. Noor thought that she could face her ex-boyfriend's family calmly and could head to the airport and then go home. At 10:19 p.m., Noor arrived at Zahir's house and waited for a moment in front of the gate. The residence looked very bright because all the lights were on and several CCTV cameras were clearly visible. Without hesitation, Noor entered her ex-boyfriend's house, but once inside, it was quite quiet. She greeted them and called out Zahir's parents' names, but there was no response from them. Moments later, Zahir appeared and said that his father and mother were not home. His father was very busy and had to go to several places, just as his mother preferred to accompany her husband rather than stay at home. After hearing this explanation, Noor entered the house. Zahir then invited her to sit on the living room couch while he went to his room. Zahir then called the travel agent to cancel his flight. The travel agent informed him that he would be flying in 5 hours, and if he canceled, Zahir would not receive a refund. The man stated that he did not need a refund, but then called the travel agent again to change his flight schedule. He mentioned that he would be leaving for New York in 10 days. The agent said that Zahir would have to pay a fee for changing his schedule a few hours before the flight. Zahir replied that he would pay the penalty and that it was not a big deal for him. At 11 p.m., a taxi arrived in front of Zahir's house to pick him up and take him to the airport. The host contacted the taxi driver to ask him to wait a moment because he was still packing. However, after waiting for 36 minutes, Zahir still had not come out. A little while later, Zahir called the taxi driver again and told him to keep waiting at the gate. The driver waited patiently until his phone rang for the third time. When he answered the call, he was informed that Mr. Zahir had canceled his plans to go to the airport and that he would receive 3 times the fare for being willing to wait. Before long, a security guard gave the driver a sum of money and told him to leave immediately. However, 2 hours later, Zahir contacted the taxi driver again and asked him to take him to the airport. The driver quickly headed back to the young man's residence and found Zahir with a woman. The driver felt something was off when he saw the woman next to Zahir, who was barefoot in the taxi, while Zahir did most of the talking. The woman appeared very quiet, even not responding when Zahir tried to start a conversation with her. The driver continued to observe the female passenger, who seemed unenthusiastic yet was trying to remain calm. Moments later, Zahir said that he had to return to his house and would not be going to the airport after all. Upon hearing this, the driver was shocked and increasingly felt that something was wrong. After arriving at Zahir's residence, the driver saw the young man tightly gripping the hand of the woman, who was none other than Noor Muqaddam. Zahir then closed the gate with a very frightening expression, as he seemed to be angry. Once inside the yard, the young man appeared to be arguing with Noor. Zahir then pulled the woman's hand and instructed her to go back into the house. Inside the house, one of the staff members saw Zahir repeatedly trying to propose to Noor, but the woman always refused and said that she could not marry him. At this moment, an angry Zahir did not hesitate to do harm to Noor. Meanwhile, the staff members who heard their argument were not allowed to help the woman. On that frightening and terrifying night, Noor had to endure all the mistreatment without anyone to assist her. For almost 2 days, the woman received very rough treatment from her ex-boyfriend. Not only that, but Noor was also forced to engage in sexual relations with Zahir, and she was not allowed to leave the house. Furthermore, former boyfriend brutally tortured and beat the diplomat's daughter until she became weak and powerless. Noor Muqaddam even tried to escape by jumping from the 2nd floor, but moments after landing, she clutched her stomach, which felt very painful. Shortly thereafter, she almost reached the gate, but unfortunately, the security guards caught her and returned Noor to her captor. Because Noor attempted to escape, Zahir became increasingly angry and in his fury, dragged the woman back into the house very roughly. In that moment, Noor desperately wanted to get out of that cursed place because Zahir was in an unstable and very dangerous state, but no one was willing to help her. Once inside, Zahir took Noor to his room and struck her with a brass ornament. He also pointed a gun at her and threatened to take her life. At that moment, Noor tried to escape, but Zahir tripped her, causing her to fall to the floor. It didn't take long for almost her entire body to be covered in bruises due to Zahir's mistreatment. The unimaginable torture lasted for 2 days, and at the end of her ordeal, Noor, who was already very weak, experienced something extremely horrifying. Zahir stabbed her multiple times with a sharp weapon, leaving her in a pitiful condition. The attack caused several open wounds, resulting in Noor losing a lot of blood. After that, the woman lost consciousness, and Zahir strangled her very tightly until her life slipped away. Then the despicable man took a large knife and, filled with rage, approached Noor, decapitating the unfortunate woman. After her head was severed, Zahir kicked it several times until it rolled a few meters away. Moments later, the man who had lost his sanity suddenly changed and began to panic. He started contacting people at random. Zahir even called his father and his father's friends, claiming that a robbery had just occurred at his home. Zakir, Zahir's father, in his decision not to report the alleged robbery mentioned by his son, seemed to be more focused on Zahir's mental well-being than on the legal issues happening at his residence. He contacted medical personnel at a mental health clinic to check on his son's psychological condition, showing concern and awareness of Zahir's mental health. The arrival of the medical personnel at the house created a moment filled with tension and panic when Zahir, still unstable, suddenly appeared and attacked one of the officers. Although one of the officers was seriously injured, several people managed to secure Zahir and prevent further tragedy. Meanwhile, other officers quickly contacted an ambulance to evacuate Noor's body and report the tragic incident to the police. On the other hand, Noor's parents and friends who had been trying to contact and find her since July 19th had to accept the bitter reality that their beloved had lost her life in a very tragic manner. This case became a public spotlight in Pakistan, and the judge's decision to impose the death penalty on Zahir, the main perpetrator in the case, received widespread response from the public. At the trial on October 20th, 2021, Zahir was found guilty and sentenced to death while his 2 household helpers were sentenced to 10 years in prison. Zahir's father and mother, along with several others, were cleared of charges. Zahir was also required to pay a fine to the victim's family as compensation for his actions. However, in February 2022, Zahir filed an appeal claiming his innocence and stating that he was still experiencing mental disturbances. The judge, however, rejected the appeal and upheld the death sentence for Zahir. As of now, the execution of Zahir's death sentence has not yet been carried out, and he remains incarcerated, awaiting the resolution of his legal proceedings. This case reflects the seriousness of the violence perpetrated by Zahir and its detrimental impact on the victim and her family, as well as the importance of fair and strict law enforcement in handling such criminal cases. Story 3. Mingqi Ji was born on April 18, 1991 in Shirin, China. She is the only child of Ku Run and Xiaolin. Mingqi is known for being a very intelligent and confident child. At the age of 5, she managed to create beautiful calligraphy and paintings. During her elementary school years, she excelled in English classes, which made her parents proud and supportive of their daughter. As a teenager, Mingqi continued to pursue painting and developed a love for photography. In addition to these hobbies, she often participated in international camps, which helped her become independent and more self-assured. Despite her busy schedule outside of school, Mingqi made an effort to spend time with her father and mother. Her close relationship with her parents continued into adulthood, as she frequently sought their advice on important decisions in her life. A few years later, Mingqi graduated from high school and continued her education at Shanghai University of Science and Technology, majoring in engineering. She studied diligently and earnestly, achieving her bachelor's degree with excellent grades. Unsatisfied with her knowledge, Mingqi decided to pursue a master's degree in the United States. Her parents fully supported her choice, believing that graduates from abroad are highly valued in China. In 2012, Mingqi was accepted as an exchange student at the University of Missouri, Columbia, majoring in mechanical and aerospace engineering. She thoroughly enjoyed her experience as an international student and dedicated herself to her studies. 2 years later, in December 2014, Mingqi finally earned her master's degree with satisfactory results. She then secured a job at a company called Nineveh as a supervisor. There, she met a man named Joseph Elledge, commonly known as Joe. Joe was Mingqi's subordinate and had also studied at the University of Missouri. Gradually, they spent more time together and fell in love. After officially dating, Mingqi invited her boyfriend to her home country to meet her parents and seek their blessing. After being in a relationship for nearly 2 years, Joe proposed to Mingqi on September 8, 2017, while they were hiking at the Rockbridge Memorial State Park. A few weeks later, on September 22nd, the couple finally got married and built a happy home together. They lived in an apartment in Columbia. Then, in February 2018, the husband and wife welcomed their first child. Joe was overjoyed with his wife's pregnancy and made efforts to provide the best for Mingqi and their child. On October 3, 2018, Mingqi gave birth to their first daughter named Anna, becoming a mother at the age of 27. Mingqi was a devoted and caring mother, even resigning from her job to take care of her child. She also worked part-time at night as a translator to help support her family. Moreover, Joe was no longer employed as he was continuing his studies, putting financial pressure on their small family and causing the once happy household to start falling apart. Even after Joe returned from his internship, their relationship grew increasingly strained, and they often found themselves arguing. This situation continued until Anna turned 1 year old. Mingqi's parents, Quran and Xiaolin, were concerned and always encouraged their daughter to be patient in her marriage. One day, Quran and Xiaolin noticed they hadn't heard from their daughter in a while. They thought Mingqi was just busy and hadn't had the time to call. However, on October 9, 2019, they began to feel something was off. They suspected something bad had happened to their daughter. The mother then contacted one of Mengqi's friends living in the area and asked her to check on Mengqi's condition. The next morning, the friend went to Mengqi's home and asked where she was. Joe, Mengqi's husband, then revealed that his wife had disappeared and had not returned home. On that same day, October 10th, 2019, Joe contacted the local police. He mentioned that Mengqi had last been seen at their residence around 11 p.m. At that time, his wife had refused his invitation for intimacy, claiming she had other commitments to attend to the next day. Joe felt a bit disappointed, which led to an argument between the two. Afterward, he went to rest in another room while Mengqi slept with their child. The next day, Joe woke up and went to their daughter's room, but he did not see Mengqi. He checked the entire house and found that she had not taken her car keys or wallet. He then contacted the police, who arrived at Joe's home promptly. During the investigation, Joe revealed that his wife had left her wedding ring and phone in the bedroom. The officers believed that the argument between Joe and Mengqi was typical of what many couples experience. They speculated that the young mother might have stayed over at a friend's or relative's house. However, the authorities continued their search, gathering information from those close to them. The following day, on October 11th, Joe's mother, Jean Elledge, posted on Facebook about her daughter-in-law's disappearance. She mentioned that no one had heard from or seen Mengqi. The police were involved in the case, but there had been no significant findings as of yet. Several days passed without any clues regarding Mengqi's disappearance. Then, on October 15, 2019, Joe agreed to be interviewed by CBS News. In the Q&A, he described Mengqi and their grand plans to start a business together. Joe also shared insights about their married life after the birth of their daughter, Anna. He expressed that Mengqi was a mother willing to sacrifice anything for their child, demonstrating immense patience in caring for Anna without ever complaining. After Mengqi went missing, Joe felt lonely and desperately needed her presence. He hoped that she would return soon and in good condition. Additionally, he mentioned that he had been interning at a company far from home in the past few months, which forced him to live apart from his wife and child. This situation strained their relationship due to a lack of communication, and Mengqi had suddenly become more reserved and less talkative. On the same day, Joe voluntarily participated in an exclusive interview with the Columbia Police Department without a lawyer present. During the interrogation, he revealed that several days before Mengqi's disappearance, his wife often kept to herself at night. He mentioned wanting to massage her and spend more time together, but Mengqi refused, stating she had activities to attend to the following day. She did not disclose who she would be meeting. Joe also shared that after Mengqi went missing, he found a shocking note on her computer. In her journal, Mengqi wrote about a forbidden love with another man from China, even expressing her unhappiness in their marriage. Following this interrogation, Joe's family hired an attorney named Scott Rosenblum. Rosenblum presented investigators with intimate chat messages between Mengqi and the other man in Mandarin. After this information became public, Mengqi's parents and friends seemed incredulous and questioned the validity of these claims, asserting that their daughter had always shared everything with them and never concealed anything. In response to this, District Attorney Dan Knight defended Mengqi, stating that she was a loving mother who would not abandon her child, who still needed her affection just for another man. Joe also revealed other information that raised suspicion among investigators, such as the fact that his wife was not at home and that he had been casually driving around with their baby. Based on this testimony, the police and prosecutor Dan Knight were convinced that Joe was intentionally hiding something. However, they could not accuse him due to the lack of concrete evidence. Meanwhile, during the interview process, Joe allowed investigators to check his phone. Shortly thereafter, they uncovered something shocking that slightly pieced together the puzzle regarding who might be involved in Mengqi's disappearance. The officers found recordings of about 10 hours of conversations between Joe and Mengqi. In these recordings, Joe sounded like he wanted to end his marriage because he felt unhappy with his wife. He also encouraged Mengqi to cooperate so that his divorce petition could be granted by the court. The police also found another recording that was even more shocking with a longer duration, on Mengqi's phone. This conversation was secretly recorded on October 29, 2018, shortly after Mengqi gave birth to Anna. At that time, Mengqi's parents, Corinne and Xiaolin, had decided to stay with their daughter because it is customary in Chinese culture for grandparents to help care for their grandchild for 100 days. However, Joe seemed to dislike the presence of his in-laws. Despite Mingqi's attempts to explain the purpose of her parents' visit, Zhou refused to accept them. Additionally, he grew increasingly resentful of Qiren and Xiaolin, especially when he overheard them speaking Mandarin with Mingqi. This caused him stress and negative thoughts because he did not understand what they were saying. Shortly thereafter, Mengqi's father returned to China, while her mother, Xiaolin, remained with Mengqi. It was at this point that Zhou began to exert control and became increasingly abusive towards his wife. He often insulted her and referred to her with derogatory names. Hearing this, Xiaolin never imagined that her son-in-law could behave so poorly. Mengqi then tried to contact her mother-in-law, Jean Eleg, to report Zhou's behavior to her. Although Mengqi lodged a complaint, Jean appeared neutral and did not take sides. As a result, Zhou's behavior towards his mother-in-law worsened. He openly expressed his hatred towards Xiaolin. However, Zhou eventually apologized to his mother-in-law and expressed regret for treating her poorly. Despite this, he continued to pressure Xiaolin to leave his home. The elderly woman was very saddened by this situation. Similarly, Mengqi appeared very remorseful and continually blamed herself, mumbling, "Why can't I get out of a family situation like this?" Prosecutor Dan Knight believed that Mengqi felt trapped by her immigration status, which would expire in 5 months. The young mother also felt stressed about an upcoming interview for her application to obtain permanent residency. 2 weeks after Mengqi went missing, on October 25th, the Columbia Police Department announced it would conduct a criminal investigation into her disappearance. On the same day, law enforcement arrived at Zhou's residence to arrest him on charges of having acted improperly towards Anna, their child. This arrest was based on a report from the grandfather, who observed several bruises on the child's body. After being interrogated by officers, ultimately admitted to his actions, stating that he pinched Anna when she wouldn't stop crying. Authorities then set his bail at $500,000. However, Scott, his attorney, defended him, asserting that Zhou was a young father who deeply loved his daughter. He suggested that while Zhou may have made a minor mistake, there was no evidence indicating he had acted maliciously toward Anna. At the same time, investigators and prosecutor Dan Knight continued their investigation. They searched the victim's residence and found several suspicious items. They discovered a note belonging to Zhou that contained summaries on how to respond to questions from journalists or investigators. Officers then suspected that he may have planned this incident well in advance. Investigators also looked for other items that might be related to the case. They eventually seized a pair of Zhou's boots that were covered in mud. Authorities continued the investigation by tracing the path Zhou took with his daughter after Mengqi's disappearance, but they did not find anything. However, Prosecutor Knight did not give up easily. They then tracked the GPS history of Zhou's phone. According to the phone records, the man spent 30 minutes at the banks of the Lamine River. Zhou did not mention this to the officers, which raised their suspicions that the location could be connected to Mengqi's disappearance. Investigators subsequently followed the river to search for the victim. This effort lasted for several months, but officers still found nothing. Even Xiaolin, the desperate mother, intentionally went to those places to pay her last respects to her only daughter. According to local police, the search process was halted several times due to unfavorable weather conditions. However, officers promised to make every effort to conduct the search using land, water, and air transport. On February 19, 2020, Prosecutor Dan Knight decided to file first-degree murder charges against Zhou for the disappearance of his wife. The incriminating evidence included audio recordings found on the victim's phone. 17 months later, on March 25, 2021, a hiker discovered shoes and remnants of what appeared to be human remains at Rock Bridge Memorial State Park, where Zhou had proposed to Mengqi. Upon retrieval and examination, it was confirmed that the remains belonged to Mengqi, who had been missing. However, the autopsy could not determine the cause of death. The examination revealed for broken ribs, indicating violence before the young mother died. Nonetheless, this finding could not implicate Zhou, as there was no strong evidence pointing to him. The authorities then matched this finding with items in the man's apartment, including boots filled with mud, sand, gravel, and thorny foliage stuck to the soles of the shoes. Prosecutor Dan Knight attempted to perform DNA testing on the foliage with plants found near Mengqi's discovery site. They submitted the samples to the Botanical Garden, Missouri laboratory. According to a population geneticist named Christine Edward, each plant has unique DNA, just like humans. This examination could potentially serve as the only evidence to solve the case. Not long after, prosecutor Dan Knight announced that the DNA from the juniper tree leaves found at Mengqi's location closely matched the foliage stuck to Joe's boots. This indicates that the man was proven to have taken his wife's life and buried her there. The trial for this case began on November 2nd, 2021. Unfortunately, Mengqi's parents could not attend and were represented by a relative during the proceedings. Scott, Joe's attorney, presented a new narrative, arguing that the incident was an accident and that Joe did not intend to take his wife's life. The attorney emphasized that while his claims were indeed related to the case, it did not mean Joe had the intention or plan to end Mengqi's life. Scott explained that on October 8, 2019, Joe had made advances towards his wife, but Mengqi rejected him, then pushed and attacked her against a table, causing her ribs to break. To support the statement, the attorney presented a pathologist who conducted the victim's autopsy named Dr. Keith Kit Norton. The expert stated that Scott's assertion might be plausible, but the push would have to be quite forceful to result in broken bones. Scott also revealed that after the incident, Joe pushed his wife into a basket, causing her head to hit the ground and nearly knocking her unconscious. He then left Mengqi there and went to his room to rest. The next day, Joe heard Anna's cries. He went to his daughter's room and found his wife still lying on her back. Joe then shook Mengqi forcefully while asking about her condition. Unbeknownst to him, she had already passed away and was gone forever. Hearing this explanation, the authorities present at the trial were baffled by Joe's actions. Why had he intentionally lied and only revealed this in court? The attorney stated that his client had acted out of nervousness and fear, trying to conceal the truth from the authorities. However, prosecutor Dan Knight dismissed this story as nonsense, arguing that a mere push could not possibly cause 4 broken ribs simultaneously. They suspected that Joe had taken Mengqi's life in a very horrific manner. On November 9th and 10th, 2021, Joe provided his testimony before the judges. Prosecutor Knight then grilled him with several questions, but Joe maintained that the events surrounding Mengqi were an accident. Additionally, Joe claimed that his previous statements regarding Mengqi's infidelity with a man from China were false. He intentionally fabricated this information to mislead the authorities. After 10 days of hearings, both sides presented their closing arguments. The defense attorney reiterated that this was a tragic, unintentional accident, while prosecutor Dan Knight argued that the incident involving Mengqi was premeditated, charging the suspect with first-degree murder and seeking a life sentence. After lengthy deliberation and reviewing all the evidence presented, the judge found Joe guilty of second-degree murder, indicating that the act of taking Mengqi's life was not pre-planned. The court sentenced him to 28 years in prison. This verdict sparked mixed reactions. Some believed Joe was a psychopath who had deliberately killed his wife because he no longer wanted to be with her. Others argued that the incident was indeed an unintentional accident, considering Joe was perceived as a good and loving man, making it unlikely that he would intentionally commit such an act.